Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. I'm tempted to call this video "You Don't Need to Know Music Theory." Let's see if I have the courage to do it when we come around to doing the thumbnail. But really, what I want to talk about today is exploration, patience, and working with the DAW. Yesterday, I recorded a review of Spitfire's Epic Choir, a great library. And of course, I had to play some stuff live as I was doing it. And I realized that what I was doing was not thinking about chord progressions or music theory, but rather responding to the sound in the moment. And of course, the ideal thing for every instrumentalist is to achieve that state. Now, I've spent a lot of time practicing keyboard and guitar in order to get there, but here's the sort of secret of contemporary production. And anyone who's working with a DAW knows this, although you may not really say it to yourself very often. You can get anything you want to get if you're willing to take the time to play around with it. And let me show you what I mean. In general, in music, and this has something to do with physics, there are perfect and imperfect consonances, and there are dissonances. That's really kind of all you need to know. The easiest perfect consonance is everybody's singing the same note. The octave is also the same type of thing. It's a perfect consonance, as is the fifth and the fourth. Anytime I play any of those intervals, I'll get a perfect consonance. But there are imperfect consonances as well. A third sounds great to us, but it's an imperfect consonance. It's not a perfect interval. The inversion of the third, that's a C and an E. The E and the C, the sixth, that's an imperfect consonance. We love them. They sound great. We're actually very happy with imperfect consonances, and they form an enormous part of our harmonic practice. Now, dissonances, that's a different kettle of fish. Seconds, both major and minor, are dissonant, as are the inversions of that, this major seventh and minor seventh. Of course, ninths. The most dissonant interval to my ear is this one, the minor ninth. Ooh, it sounds like somebody lit something on fire. The tritone, of course, is maybe the most useful dissonance. In fact, in the scale, the tritone wants to move. That was the same thing in inversion in a certain direction. Now, if you don't know any other music theory, I guess maybe you need to think about music in a certain way, and that is essentially what music theory is, thinking about it. That's kind of all you need to know. Because if I were to boil it down, I would say that making a piece of music is about telling a story, manipulating the consonance and dissonance, the compaction and the release of tones in order, and you can do it rhythmically as well, in order to create a narrative, an emotional journey that gives us a sense of, sometimes character almost. I'll show you what I mean. So let's say I begin with a slightly dense sound. The tension of the top two notes wants to release. And it could release in a couple of different ways. Think about it. Is a fairly predictable way. Did your ear hear that and want it to happen? Here's another option, though. I release the tension. I release the compacted version of what I did into an expanded version, from a dissonance to a imperfect consonance in this case. And there are other solutions. I don't have to stick with white keys. Well, Well, it's possible to follow the thread of that. And if you're an experienced player, you may be able to do it on the fly. But it doesn't have to be on the fly, does it? You can take as much time as you want to get the result you need. So let's start and see what happens. I was improvising, but if we look closely at this, you can see that each gesture I made, each motion, was essentially the choice for, a contracted, compacted experience versus a expanded, open, in theory, we might say resolved experience. And the breathing experience of hearing the way chords move is essential to harmonic motion. I could tell you the names of those chords, but it's really more important that what's happening is inhalation and exhalation, inspiration and expiration, diastole and systole, if you want to talk about your heart beating, right? It contracts, it expands. It's all the music theory anyone needs to know. We can say the same thing in terms of rhythm. I'll show you what I mean. Set up a regular pulse, contract the rhythm, and then expand and release it. I think it may be true that all we need to know about music theory is compact and release. Now, as I said earlier, and I think you probably realize this too, it's great to be able to do it on the fly. The essence of practicing your instrument and becoming familiar with things is the essence of being able to respond in the moment to the emotional experience of that contraction and that expansion, to go to the next thing in a way that sort of makes sense. But anyone working on a DAW knows that you can just spend a little more time to get exactly the result you need. And the only test, and probably the single most important thing I'm going to say here in this sort of lesson is this: you're the judge. You decide what should happen next. I begin with this. Now, I decide if what happens next is this. Or this. Or that. I decide. I don't need to know the names of those chords. I just need to know I started with something dense and I expanded. I tried something. I went in a direction. What happened next? What happened next? What happens next? Well, what happens next for you? Like and subscribe. This channel is really close to 2,000 subscribers. Big number for me. I'm super excited about it. Well, I hope this has been useful. Ding the bell and you'll be notified when I do my videos, but I can notify you right now. I'm trying to do videos every day. I'll see you next time.